Alright, bet. Let's do it again. Let's scale Sonic again. In a point of reference, I'm referring to Game Sonic, not comics, not Archie, none of that non-canon bullshit. This is just specifically mainline canon Game Sonic. Since majority of you guys already know I don't like Archie Sonic, but that's another video for another time. But to get into the actual scale itself, first we'd have to go into the lower ends of the Sonic cosmology or the Sonic universe. And in the Sonic cosmology, we have the imaginary world. And the imaginary world itself is directly stated to be a fourth-dimensional space or 4D universe, comprised via the Precious Stone, which is the gateway to all dreams of reality encompassed through every single dimension, meaning that the Sonic universe would have to be 4D to hold this said construct. Even more so, we know in the Sonic universe that there are directly stated to be infinite timelines, as well as multiple parallel universes, that being the world of the Arabian Nights, King Arthur's Palace, Blaze's dimension, and even Sonic Boom, which is stated to be its own parallel universe, meaning the Sonic cosmology would be infinite 4D at a low ball. Now for the actual scale itself, it's pretty simple. A lot of people try to downplay Game Sonic's feats and compare them to Archie Sonic's, and you don't even need that because Game Sonic itself is pretty strong, as you'll see. For the actual scale itself, first we'd have to talk about Dark Gaia, and it's directly stated multiple times that Dark Gaia is a hyper energy life form that's been around since the dawn of time. Dark Gaia pre-awakening was able to shatter the earth into 8 different parts, as well as being able to drain the Chaos Emeralds of all of their energy, the same Chaos Emeralds that are directly stated to have infinite amount of energy, or just infinite amounts of power in general, putting a Dark Gaia in the ranges of anywhere from planetary to high uni. Base Sonic has relativity as well as being able to damage Dark Gaia consistently in both his base and super form, putting Sonic in the ranges of high uni as well. Also a friendly reminder that anybody who's able to take in the power of the Chaos Emeralds and contain said power would scale to high uni as well. People like Perfect Chaos and Ermel would scale to the same range as well. The next game we would have to cover would be Sonic Rush, and in Sonic Rush, Eggman with his parallel universe counterpart Eggman Nega is using the Chaos Emeralds and the Soul Emeralds to transcend dimensions, or transcend the dimension that they're currently in, which would be the 4th dimension. So in terms of power, the Egg Salamander would carry would be that of a higher dimensional character, which would be in the ranges of low complex or just the 5th dimensional in terms of power. Super Sonic and Burning Blaze would obviously scale to this since they're able to damage the Egg Salamander as well as put him completely out of commission, putting Super Sonic and Burning Blaze in terms of power in the ranges of low complex or just 5D. In the very next game, mind you, that being Sonic 06, we're directly introduced to Solaris, and it's directly stated that Solaris is a super/hyperdimensional life form with the ability to transcend both time and space and reduce it to absolutely nothing, as well as he eats other dimensions for lunch and has the power to dominate cause and effect, fate, and even death itself. Solaris would be a 6th dimensional to 7th dimensional character if you take the statements of him eating dimensions hyper literally. Even more so, he should be above things like the imaginary world and even the Egg Salamander in terms of power, who we just previously listed as a 5D being. Sonic, Shadow, and Silver all have each relativity to Solaris, so we know this because Solaris is omnipresent, as well as the fact that we directly see that each member of the cast is able to break off pieces of Solaris's body, and even more so, they're completely able to like no diff phase 1, but phase 2 was just higher in dimensionality, so they were no longer able to interact with him, but they still scale to Solaris overall, because they're completely able to conceptually erase him throughout every single point in history, keeping them in the ranges of low complex or 6th dimensional in terms of power as well. In Sonic Forces, we're directly told that Infinite is supposedly the strongest villain that Sonic has fought thus far, with the numerous statements of him being able to completely surpass Sonic in terms of speed and strength. Even more so later in game, we directly see Sonic able to cliff himself multiple times, and this is pretty consistent for Sonic, since we directly see in Forces that he goes from being beaten by Infinite to completely able to surpass him by the end of the game. Even more so, it's directly stated in Generations that Sonic no longer needs the power of the Chaos Emeralds, which he previously needed to defeat other enemies. So Sonic in terms of AP or power would just be in the ranges of low complex or 6th dimensional, since Sonic's able to cliff himself numerous times and fight stronger villains. His super form being an inaccessible gap above his base, obviously we know this since Sonic was able to make the jump from 3D to 60 in terms of power, putting his super form in terms of power in the ranges of low complex to around high complex. Obviously there's speed, but I'm not going to go over that. This video is already way too long and I've yapped for way too long now. Yeah, this is just where I scale Sonic. If you scale him any differently or scale him any higher or lower, again, I don't care. This is just my scaling for Game Sonic.